All right, so we are going to learn some Mishima today. So we're going to start with a tile that we've rolled out to the correct thickness. Nice thin, a little bit thinner than pinky finger. I've finished my edges and I've compressed with my rib so that there's no canvas texture there. And I've allowed this to dry until it's leather hard. So when I hold it like this, it's not slopping over. That's when I know it's leather hard. Okay. I took a piece of paper and I traced the shape of my tile onto a piece of paper, and then I did a little bit of a drawing. Okay, so there's my drawing of my little rabbit that I want to put onto my tile. So there's lots of techniques for transferring images from paper to clay. So you can use those pens that we used for transferring from our stamps, and you could trace this and then place it face down. All I did with this guy, and this actually worked really well, is you can print this off the internet if you want. If you don't like to draw, print this off the internet. Take one of these pencils. This is a 2B pencil. See, in the end it says 2B. So I have a bucket full of 2B pencils here for you. 2B is just a little bit softer than your regular everyday pencil, and it's a little bit more powdery. So if you were to take your drawing, so I drew this, and then I'm going to go around my edges, make sure that they get an extra kind of coat of pencil, so it's nice and dark. Then, just like magic, as long as your surface, this is just a slightly damp microfiber cloth, leather hard clay, I'm going to put it face down, and then just with my finger I'm going to rub the back, making sure that I don't smoosh this too much. Not smoosh it, I don't want to move the paper because then I'll get a smudge. And what will happen is the water will grab on to your pencil lead. Let me do that one more time. There it goes. And it's transferred my little rabbit on there. Can you see that? There you go. You see my little rabbit on there? So it's transferred my rabbit onto there, but it's backwards. Okay, so there's lots of transfer techniques. If I wanted to, I could place that on there and just redraw it with a pencil. It'll make a little indentation in the clay that I can also follow. Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways to add your drawing to the tile. A drawing that works well for Mishima is something that has a lot of little lines. Okay, because we're going to be drawing with a pin tool. This is going to look like a pen and ink drawing when we're done, so something with a lot of little lines. You don't have to draw an object. You can also draw textures, which I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Next thing we're going to do is I've got some wax. It's a little bit different wax than the wax that we're using for the bottom of our pots. This wax is a different kind of wax. You'll know that it's different because it's a little bit thinner, a little bit more glopey, and it's a different color than the wax we used back there. The wax we used back there will work just fine, but this works best for Mishima. So on the top it says wax resist for Mishima. Open that up and get yourself one of these little foamy brushes and take a little bit of the wax and cover your drawing with a nice thin coat of wax. Okay, it's quite runny. You don't want a real thick coat of wax. You want a nice thin coat of wax on the whole tile. Try to get rid of any bubbles. Try to make sure there's no thick spots or thin spots. Nice even coat of wax, and then let that dry. Okay, so I'm going to go over to the sink. I'm going to wash this because it's water-based. I'm going to wash this while I'm waiting for this to dry and put the wax back up at the front for somebody else to use and set this aside until it dries. Okay, so now that, let's pretend that it's dry. The wax is going to be a little bit shiny. I don't know if you can see the shine on that. A little bit of shine on that. Once it's dry, it's going to lose a little bit of its shine and it's going to be kind of not sticky to the touch. So this has been on this tile. This is the same little rabbit drawing on the tile, and the wax is totally dry. So now all I'm going to do is, with my drawing next to me, I'm going to use a pin tool, any tool that has a nice sharp tip to it. And I am going to scratch right through the wax to the surface, through the wax to the clay beneath. And I did most of this before you guys got here so that you wouldn't have to watch me do the whole thing. But I'm just going to draw a few little fur lines for my rabbit in there. And then with a brush, I brush away the little bits until I have my drawing sort of carved in there. Okay, now I'm using paper towel to protect this so I don't get any underglaze. I'm going to take some black underglaze. You can do this with whatever color underglaze you want. And you're going to put it on top of your image. So you can see that the wax is resisting all the areas, but it's going to sink into all of those little scratch marks that we made. I don't have to worry about being clean about this, but I want to work it into all of those grooves. Make sure that the wax goes into all of those nice little lines that I made. Okay. Now with a little bit of water and a sponge, and then I'll clean my sponge. Mishima might be my favorite technique of all of them. It's just so simple and magical and such an easy way to add drawing to any tile that you want to add to. And you can do this on smaller bits. So if I only wanted to do Mishima on one side, I do Mishima on one side. I could do Sgraffito on the other side if I wanted to. You just have to be careful where you put the wax. So I'm also going to, this little rabbit had a little bit of a moon, so I'm going to decide to add another color here. So, and because the wax is still wet, I'm going to add a little kind of oval shape in the background. And then just throw some texture, pattern, just to show you that you don't always have to draw. You can do patterns and shapes, textures, lines. I can add to this if I want to, and then if I want, I can add a different color. So okay, so when that clay turns white, that orange is going to pop, that black is going to pop, and everything, I can go ahead and add more with my pin tool and add more. If I want more fur on there, I can do all that. But now we'll let that dry a little bit, and then we'll press that into the foam press to make the edges pop up. Okay, this technique you can also You can also make your shape. You can press your shape before you do the Mishima if you want, just the same way as pressing your shape into this. We press the shape first before doing this because sometimes you wreck your design when you do the press if you're doing slip trailing. Okay, so that is Mishima, drawing on clay.